really gonna rise in the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo. Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause of sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up, really gonna rise in the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Good morning, everybody. Hello. Oh, I am JJW, and that is let's see, that way, Drama King Deek. We're gonna be your two dads. We're gonna talk about the news. It is Wednesday, September 22nd, 2022, and oh my God, things are awful in this world right now. There's some nuts, crazy stuff happening.
Matt?
Yeah. Luckily, I'm sure it's all of the crazy, insane stuff is only happening like out there. None of it's near you, right? All of it is just like, it's only in the newspapers, which basically makes it 50% make-believe. You know, it's only in the papers, it's only on the news sites. It's not real in the real world, I'm sure.
Stupid people live everywhere, dude.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Stupid people that live around you.
Personally?
Yeah. Like not live with you, around you. Like, you know, some of your people that you work with or your neighbors, they're just dumbasses. You know, you're like, oh yeah, so-and-so that I know, he's a nice guy, but he's just a dumbass. You know, or he's annoying. I have these people that I call, I've had these people for years. I did not come up with this. I heard this somewhere, but I've used this for 20 years. I call certain people my 5-minute friends because they're nice people. You probably have these people. They're your 5-minute friends. They're your friends for about 5 minutes until they start getting annoying or they start pissing you off, and you remember why you don't hang around with them. Because you're like, oh, hey, how you doing? How's your family? Oh, that's cool. How are you doing? How's your work? Blah, blah, blah. And then after that, you're just kind of like, oh, that's right. Why I forgot I didn't hang out with you, because you're a fucking sourpuss.
So
something.
I'm naturally an introverted person. I mean, I can probably go like
days. I always said I could
easily
live in the mountains. by myself.
I can almost easily go days without literally talking to anybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't do that indefinitely. But I mean, my nature is introversion. So like, you know, I'm just more involved in whatever's going on in my head or whatever I'm interested in or whatever.
Yeah.
With that being said, yeah, I have run into you know, those kind of people, and those kind of people tend to seep even more energy out of me than the normal people I keep around me. So, but basically, my circle of people that I keep around me is very, very small. I work at a small company. I have my immediate family, and outside of that, I mean, I can interact with these people on a daily basis, but outside of that, like, it is so difficult for me to remember people's like names and all of their story or whatever their drama is, and it's just like it is really difficult. It just and you know, I really don't get like involved in like other people's problems. So you know,
I have a couple of people that that I
temporary
know
friends though. I get you that.
They will come here to the radio station because they know I'm here for 9 hours every day. So they'll drop by to see me to sit here and talk for a bit. And there's like 3 or 4 of them. And there's one particular one that will come in here, and he's like that. He'll just start talking about the drama in his life or something going on. And you're just like, and it's not like you've inquired about it. It's just like, hey, JJ, so the other day, my mom, you know, you're like, where'd that come from, dude?
Or if they continue to tell the stories, like they're actually the cause of their own problem. But they won't exactly frame it that way. But like, it's not really polite or kind to be like, are you listening to your story? Because you fucked yourself up right there. And well, I'm supposed to feel bad for you.
I got to talk real quick.
What are you doing? Yeah. So, you know, I really like it in the morning whenever like I get up and there's like some shake up stories and like, oh, this will be really maybe interesting to explore or talk about. And also this morning, the stories that are available range between god awful, horrible, and oh my God, calamity in the end of the world. But on the upside, before we're done with the show, I did watch the first episode of Andor. I'm betting you didn't have time.
No, I didn't yesterday. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't have time.
So I'll have some initial thoughts, but like no spoilers or anything. Not that there's much to spoil. So, Deacon,
is it just one? Did they just released one episode?
No, there's 3.
Okay,
there's no way I'm getting through 3 of these things.
They'll release 3 and then 1 a week until they finish.
Yeah,
which I think, as a person that used to watch, you know, TV shows back in the day, like I always equate it to Lost. I can remember sitting watching Lost with my ex-wife, and every Thursday we were like, at the end of the show, we were like, I hate this show. I can't wait for this show, you know. But now,
oh my God, what's it going to be?
We got to go through the binge watching era of where we could binge watch everything, and now it's reverted back. The wheel always spins around.
Well,
we've spun back in ads, and we've spun back in binge watching. So they won't let you binge watch anymore. They want you to watch episodically like we used to back in the day.
So the real issue is like for corporate media is this: how do you capture an audience? Because it used to be like there was no choice. It was an hour a week because we had to stretch out our production because we can't cut all these things all at once.
Right.
And, you know, like we have to compete with other schedules and whatever. So it used to be.
This is my business that you're talking about.
Go ahead. Yeah. And it used to be like you really didn't have a choice. You have to do an episode a week. And the consequence of that was that every week, everybody was talking about the same stories, whatever they were, because that's what was on. And so we had a cultural consensus on, oh, we're all water cooler talking about this story. Oh, we're all talking about the latest Lost. Did you see the latest whatever? And we were having the same conversation. And then, you know, we get to the cable cutting era, and it's like Netflix is like, why do we got to do that? We've already got the whole show in the can. Let's just plop the whole thing and see what happens. And, you know, people like that. People are like, yeah, if I can watch the whole thing at once, then like, I don't want to have to wait. I like that. Except now you have multiple competing services and different times, and the time of the consumer is more and more and more valuable than ever. So how do you launch a new show and capture an audience at the same time as build this thing we used to have, which was did you watch the latest episode? So the only way you can do the latest episode. You don't like it?
I don't like the old model. We're not the old model anymore. We have morphed. We have changed. So don't do the old model anymore. We're trying to do this. Oh, well, let's just introduce 3 episodes and then 1 a week, and then maybe we can. No, do the thing, release the whole thing. We've already got to this era.
But then,
don't take a step backward. We've taken 3 steps forward, and we're taking 1 step backward now.
All right, but we used to live in the world where, like, did you see the latest episode? Oh, you haven't? Okay. So, and everybody commonly agreed. You have like 2 or 3 days of like spoilers, and then we're just going to talk about it. Well, now the entire series comes out, so we have indefinite spoilers. You can't talk about it.
Screw that. Can't talk about it. If somebody, then it's not
my
responsibility. It's not my responsibility to police
wait for you.
To wait for you. But okay. I watch it and you watch it. We're going to talk about it. And if somebody's like, oh, spoiler alert, well, fucking don't watch us then. Sorry. I'm not going to say spoiler alert every time that to appease you. You know, I hate that shit.
All right. Well, we used to have, I think it was I think it was a consensus building, community building, social good that in the past we used to have the thing where we could share the same stories. That's how you build common culture. That's how you have a same country, is that the people around you, everybody, we're talking about the same stories. We don't have to agree on everything, but if we can share the same stories, then we are the same people. Well, now we can't really share the same stories, or, you know, you're going to spoiler somebody, or somebody hasn't watched it yet. So and it's like, oh, well, I haven't caught it yet. And not only have I not caught this week, I'm not going to catch it for like 7 months because I'm backed up on like Housewives of Orange County or whatever.
I see where you're coming from, because I do have a lot of shows that I'm backed up on, like you said.
The less that we have that we can share, just like, it doesn't have to be something of political influence, just the fact that we can talk about the same stories and be like, and bond as humans in different tribes. Kentucky, Deacon, your tribe is in Kentucky. My tribe is in Texas, right? And my, immediate circle of friends, the likelihood that we would overlap and intersect in normal life is basically zero. Right. But we happen to have one kind of bridge, and then being able to talk about kind of common stories and things like that is additional bridges to make social bonds. Well, in modern era, how do you recreate that? And, because the medium for which that served America in that regard for the last 80 years is deteriorated.
Well, that's because there was not very many. There was lack of choices back then. So that was, we were kind of forced into all having the same. You like Lost, I like Lost. Let's talk about Lost. Right. Well, now, like you said, how do we change that? Well, me and you did just that. We met on a mobile video game and a podcast. Because we met on a mobile video game because of a podcast.
Right.
Or else I wouldn't have. It was just it was.
But those are exceptional circumstances. These circumstances don't exist for most people.
I have some buddies that I have known for 10 years. I have never met. One lives in England and one lives in Ireland. And I have played video games with Pete and Saracen for almost 15 years. I have talked with them through their family crises. I was there, through all of my buddy Saracen. It's his gamer name. He's been through a lot of stuff that we've been together. Me and him have the same first and middle name, so we kind of bonded.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So and I've never met these guys, but I met them through a video game, and I do consider them like close friends. I've known them forever.
So, we've had the same thing. In fact, in the you go long enough, and like you can actually be involved in people's lives over, with these kind of tenuous initial connections between people, but they go on long enough, and like there's substance there, because so I know I have similar people, and like over time we had people that we were associated with, friends. Almost, again, internet friends, but friends, right? And then sometimes they die, and that's the worst part. And but you're able to build kind of community. So I guess my only thing about this going back to the release schedule here, 3 episodes now, 1 a week. I think that the intention there is to put out enough to get people to latch on, and then maybe you can temporarily create that once a week conversation of talk about the show. But I also am dubious as to whether or not that strategy actually pans out, because I kind of don't think it does.
Same. Yeah, I don't know.
And I'll talk about it soon. I kind of don't want to talk about Andor until you have a chance to watch it. And I know it just came out yesterday.
Talk about it. I don't give a crap. That spoilers
all right.
Don't bother me.
Well, did you watch Rogue One? We'll start with that.
Yeah.
And of the characters from Rogue One, I'm sure you remember Diego Luna's Cassian. And if you remember anything about Cassian, what is maybe the one thing about that character?
He was a Han Solo type.
Do you remember anything about his story at all?
Maybe if you said something. I've watched Rogue One like 2 or 3 times. Maybe if you said it would refresh it.
I think
I can't recall it.
The only character or story beat about Cassian that I remember is that he talks about having killed someone in the past, and what a heavy burden that is.
No, I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
God, that was the loudest damn train, man. That thing was squealing and shaking, and Jesus.
Okay.
God, I couldn't hear
you. All right. So without getting into much of the story of the Andor, I only watched the first episode so far, and I will say this: if you thought Rogue One was a pulse-pounding, intriguing action movie, very tight on character and story, and moved the plot very quickly, and there was a lot of characters that moved through the plot really quickly. There was basically no fat on that movie. It was really, really, really
first
good.
Episode, are you talking about the movie?
I'm talking about Rogue One, and then this is the prequel to that. Okay. If that's kind of your opinion of Rogue One, that it was like very good, very lean, a lot of characters, a lot of movement. This has characters, and it's slow. It's slow.
It is? Really?
Yeah, it's slow. It's not bad. It's got the right aesthetic.
It's a 6 hour. If it's 6 episodes, it's a 6-hour movie. So,
yes.
But I would assume that your first part of your first episode's usually going to be you got to hook your reader. You got to hook your watch. So you always first part of the movie or the first part's always going to be exciting, or it's always going to make you.
It's supposed
hooked.
to be. It should be, right?
So the first episode in these 6-part episodic adventures, you would always think that the first episode's going to be, and then by about the 3rd or 4th episode is when you're going to hit your downward Empire Strikes Back before you get back to have your redeeming arc.
Ideally, if you have a first episode pilot, it should be like balls out, bonkers, grab your attention, can't wait.
But that is a generic pilot for generic show. We're talking
you got
Star
to sell
Wars,
the show to the
established brand. People are going to watch this shit. If you had somebody pissing on a script for 30 minutes, some fan out there is going to be like, something's going to happen. Chewbacca's going to come. They'll watch it for 30 minutes and then bitch about it on the internet.
So the first episode, I only watched the first one. Jeremy says the third one's better. Okay, I haven't seen the third one yet. The first episode has one good, compelling scene, and the rest of the 40, 50 minutes of the show is introducing other characters that you're going to be like interacting with probably throughout the rest of the series. And it's a bunch of setup. There's one firecracker scene, and then there's the rest of the show is a bunch of setup. And
okay.
And the firecracker scene is it's the first scene, so it's kind of not really spoilers, but Diego Luna's Cassian gets into a kerfuffle, and he gets kind of like caught out by some bad cops. He's out in the club looking for his sister, I guess. He gets caught out by some bad cops that try to hassle him and shake him down. And one of the cops falls down and busts his head or something and gets a little bit dead, and then the other one freaks out, and then
Just a little
Cassian's
bit
like,
dead. I'm not
a little bit dead. And then the second one's like, whoa, you killed him. And then Cassian's like, oh, geez, I did not mean to kill that guy. I guess I'm going to have to also kill you. And, you know, basically kills two cops because he wasn't where he was supposed to be. I don't know. And it's not like it's not like Cassian is a straight up black-hearted killer. It was more like, ooh, that was an accident, but I really can't leave a witness here. So
yeah.
Boop.
Okay.
So that's the firecracker scene. And then the rest of it's like setting up like stuff for the rest of the show. I'm sure it gets better, but when I watched it, the words that were in my head were like, oh, this is going to be like Rogue One, except if you like turned it down so that it was slower. And instead of 90 minutes, it's like 6 hours. So it's like the same amount of action as a 90-minute movie, but stretched out over 6 episodes. Oh, this is going to be a kind of fun.
Do you notice when they make some of these episodes, not all of them, but some of the episodes of certain things that they make now, they're not 60 minutes. They're still around the 45, 47-minute mark, because they do that because of commercials back in the day. We were forced to syndicate that stuff. Yeah, we were forced to set through commercials.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 3 and 4 minute commercial blocks. And now I've tried to convince my owners who are 80, 70 years in the damn business that people will not set through 3-minute commercials blocks anymore. Would you set through? I mean, my commercial breaks used to be 3 minutes long. Over here, usually, we would not, in radio, the rule was we would not go over 4 minutes. So 3 and 3.5 minute commercial breaks when we would stop down were very common. And I've tried to explain to them over the years that we can't do that anymore, that I want to have fewer commercial breaks and shorter commercial breaks. So like a minute to 90 seconds. Every 10, 15 minutes, do it that way instead of blocking off every 20 minutes, a big 3-4 minute spot, because that's how YouTube does it. I've tried to get them to do the 15-second thing too.
You can only really do commercials now in live content, because if it's playback content, if it's on demand, if it's an on-demand show, skip.
That's an old radio back in the 50s and 60s. The DJs did the live commercials and they really hit home. And I do 2. I used to do a bunch more, but I just do 2. And one I do here in a minute. It's not a call in, but it's a live commercial. And the other one, we did a live call in for this little restaurant for years, and then they switched owners after like 10 years, and that owner stopped doing live calling with us.
I kind of mean you can do pre-recorded commercials, but they kind of need to play. That only works if the content itself is live. So if it's like live, if it's a live show, and then you can have like a commercial break, and then you can run your commercials. But short of that, even if it's a pre-recorded ad, and now live ads are better because people will like listen to you because you're actually talking. But
somebody that knows how to do a live ad, anybody can read a script. I can get anybody to read the same script over and over again, but the difference between doing a live ad and reading a live script is different. This ad that I do for this, it's called Calvert Cafe. And so
They got biscuits, right?
Yeah. And they have, I've got a cheat sheet right over here on the wall that I'm looking at. And all it is just a bunch of bullet notes, bullet points, telephone number, address, and a couple of little things that I don't have to remember. I can look over and go 252 North Main Street. But all the rest of the stuff, I kind of say the same thing every day, but it's not, it's different. And one day I might talk about, went and got some pancakes for the kids the other day. And when we got back, the pancake was hanging out of the tray. It was so big. So if you want a huge pancake, go down, and, and you're right. But an ad like that really, it grabs your attention more than the pre-recorded bullshit.
I think I mean, I don't have any way to know that this is true or not, but my understanding is that those are way more effective. One, you can't scrub them out by skipping content, really. And two,
Right.
Like that, just the dynamicness of it not being, oh, I've heard this before. Oh, I've heard this before. Oh, I've heard this before. But it being, it can be, if it's different, then, you'll listen through it or something.
But like I said, it has to be. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and there's some people that do ads very cleverly.
Yes.
And some people that do that try to be clever, and it's not so clever, because ads are my business. And for 30 years, I've tried to figure out how to keep your attention for 30 seconds in ads. That's what I've studied and figured out. And that's, I found it really fascinating.
I watched a really bad ad yesterday.
Yeah, so some of them with the YouTube, the guys, the creators. There's a couple, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I was watching one the other day, and the dude in the middle of the video goes into this ad, and I was like, "Oh, that was smooth! I didn't even see that one." That was a good one.
Nice.
Usually, I'll give them my favorite YouTubers, the ones that I really like. I will watch all of their. I'll let the ads roll. I don't skip. I don't know if that helps them anymore. I don't know if they get an extra dime, Have you ever watch the video all the way to the end?
Yeah.
On my favorite YouTubers, just to help.
Do you ever watch Ben Shapiro on Daily Wire stuff?
I've been a Ben Shapiro fan for a long time. I think he should run for president, in my opinion. He is the smartest I've ever seen in my life.
He is, and I don't think he's dumb enough to run for president.
But you're right.
He is the absolute best at he's rolling in an ad while you're talking to him. He will straight be like, yeah, I agree. And also you should do this. And you're like, wait, that was an ad. You tricked me.
And then when he does his ads in his podcast, sometimes like the first ads and the setup ads and stuff that he's got to get out of the way. And, he starts talking about them, it's an ad, but the way that he does it is kind of old school, but it's not, it makes me want to listen. I don't tune it out in my head, because you tune out certain things. If the music is too loud, you tune it out. If the person is not, if they're just kind of mumbling or talking like this, you're going to tune it out, so there's many things.
So I really don't have much more to say about Andor at the moment. We'll wait till you get a chance to watch it. Maybe we can see hey, what do you think about this or that? But I think that's good enough that we just talk about kind of this modern release strategy of 3 out the gun, and then it's a weekly thing for a while. Jeremy says that it works for Game of Thrones, which I don't think you're watching Game of Thrones right now, the House of the Dragon or whatever. I think that House of the Dragon is not winning based on release schedule. I think it's winning based on edgy content, and then also compelling characters. And by it's not like you can just we'll have this release schedule, it'll be successful. Your show still has to be good. It still has to be you still have to actually work to capture people's interest. And so far, I couldn't tell you one character on this show other than Cassian. And that's just because some robot's following him around saying, Cassian, Cassian, Cassian. So, I don't know. I don't know, but a little slow out the gate. So we'll see if that comes back.
You don't know characters on the show, but maybe other Star Wars geeks would.
Yeah,
know.
Maybe so. Yeah, and that's very possible, because I know you're like, oh, that one's from Clone Wars. This guy's from Clone Wars. And I'm like, no, okay, okay, but that may be true, and you may have a built-in audience segment there. But hey, Star Wars, you still have to earn. You have to earn my attention. You can't just assume that I'm gonna know who Half-Row is. There's this chick at the beginning of the show, and I didn't get her name, and I'm like, I don't know how to refer to her, but she has if you had an afro and then cut the top off, so it's like a plate. So I was like, I'm gonna call her Half-Row.
Half-Row.
Anyway, that's all I got on Andor at the moment. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that. Hey, good morning. I hope you had a good night's sleep. Right?
So.
All right. Yeah. Let me ask you a question about Kentucky. Do you guys burn garbage out there? Probably not in the city, but you got rural guys that burn trash, right?
People burn garbage. Yeah. People burn their own garbage. The 50-gallon drums, and you drill some holes in the bottom.
Well, around here, not here, but a little bit out in the country, people will just pile their trash up in the yard and just burn it.
Oh,
instead of taking it to landfill. They don't do that out there?
not so much. You do smell. Okay. I mean, you can smell every once in a while. You'll smell somebody burning some garbage because they'll be burning plastic, and you're not supposed to burn plastic.
That's not good.
You can smell it.
But like, if you have like paper sacks and things like that, or old food products, right? It's better to burn it than to
and the older folks used to do this, and it's really not a bad idea, but now we just shred it. But the older folks used to burn their mail and stuff like that. Certain garbage they would burn.
Well, I'm not really talking about burning stuff, but I just wonder, I just don't know about your part of the area. What about composting? Do you know if people around there are into composting?
A lot of folks compost, but we don't have like, maybe we do have a place. We do a lot of recycling with all kinds of stuff in our recycling and in our landfill. And
I guess it would be maybe like a cultural or maybe a rural thing where, like, if you have old foodstuffs, instead of throwing it in the garbage and taking it to the dump, you would have composting in your yard.
A lot of the farmers and a lot of the hobby farmers and stuff like that do have a compost pile. Yeah, that's not an uncommon thing.
Okay.
To drive by and see a huge pile smoking in the winter. Oh, a showstopper came in. Yeah, the big, huge compost piles will be smoking in the winter, and you'll be able to identify them that way. Usually, I don't look around to look in people's, what do they have over there in their yard? Some people do. I don't care about you or what you're doing in your yard. She woke up early.
Yeah, she's up real early. All right. So, man, I was really trying. I mean, like, this is so disappointing because I had built the Segway train. We were almost there, and it was like going to be beautiful. And I wanted to just tell you, composting. I want to tell you, hey, the guys out in California are on the edge of composting, and Governor Newsom just passed a law that allows human composting after death to combat climate change. This is the future.
That was a long way to go there, Jerry.
I know. It was so much setup, and it got ruined by Showstopper.
No, it didn't get ruined.
Oh, California. You people are insane.
Okay,
you have no regard for human life.
Do I need to read this?
I mean, I think you pretty much got it from the headline.
That's
far left state. Okay, I want you to go back to bed for 30 minutes. Less than, okay? Far left state of California further embraced neo-paganism this week when Governor Newsom signed a bill into law allowing the practice of composting dead humans being better at climate change. I mean, straight up, how horrible is this? You know what composting is? You literally take the dead food or garbage or whatever, you throw it in a hole with some other things, and just 1, 2, 3, 4 bodies. Just throw these bodies in there, and they'll just decompose over time. It'll be fine.
Why not? It'll be fine.
Disgusting.
I don't know why you're so upset about this, JJ. What is the negative aspects of this, please? What do you see as the negative aspects of this? But
I mean,
what are you upset about? We're putting people in the damn ground anyway, and they're not being able to do anything but rot in a casket in a vault.
That's true, I guess.
So,
but there's a place, there's a headstone, there's a place on Earth where you can visit your relative, right?
I can put a headstone in the middle of my yard, and you can come visit your relative there.
There we go. Let's just make believe anyway, right?
We make believe a lot of other stuff.
Yeah,
we make believe a lot of stuff. Do you understand that? Hang on. Yeah. I gotta talk about.
It's just, this is. It's repulsive to me on some level. Like the fact that they would be just so willing. Now, I get it. It'd be like, oh, well, only people that want to be composted are going to be composted. And they don't believe in life after death. And they don't believe it. You're so selfish. You're so selfish. You don't care about anybody in the world except yourself. And you don't care about the fact that you leave behind family. You leave behind brothers and sisters and children and fathers, and most humans that aren't psychopaths and sociopaths, most people, they have to grieve and mourn, and oftentimes they do that by visiting the site of their dearly beloved, their dearly departed, to reconcile the fact that you're still alive with the fact that reality has come bare and your loved one has passed on and they're right down there. And maybe look, do I think you can go to somebody's gravesite and talk to their tombstone and like they'll get a message from you? No, not really. I believe in life after death. I just don't believe in that you're in a box in a hole. But that being said, that's part of the healing process from Western culture, from whatever. Your body lays interned, and eventually, Christ will return, bring back those old bones, bring them back together and restore you. That's the hope. And if it's not the hope for you, that's okay, because you're still right there. What remains of you is right down there and can be visited by your children or your grandchildren or whatever, so that they can grieve and they can mourn and they can move on with their lives. But in California, hey man, be potting soil.
What?
Be potting soil. Okay, well, and because all in the name of serving the god of climate change, which is just absolute horseshit. All right.
Do you believe in climate change?
Sure.
Like
because
I said, climate,
the climate changes. It gets hotter, it gets colder. Tides go up, tides go down. Technically, we haven't even left the last ice age yet. So surprise, surprise, it gets warmer, except when it gets colder. Except it doesn't matter if the trend is warmer or colder, because the people that embrace this stuff are embracing it. Why? So that they can say, well, you have to do less to cause less climate change. So we need control and power over your life. So
we have only been recording weather in detail for not very long. So this week,
and for a large portion of that, poorly.
Yes.
Like the thermometers were not very good.
Right. You're exactly right. So yeah, that's what I mean. In detail, like we have only been recording weather in detail for like a couple, 2 or 3 decades, that's been, in detail. Today is the first day of fall. Okay. So the last 2 days of summer, yesterday and the day before, here in Kentucky, our thermometer got up to 100 and 101 yesterday. It was a scorcher yesterday. Not as humid, but usually when it gets up to the upper 90s here with our humidity and our heat index is usually like 115. It's nasty out here.
Yeah, it feels bad.
Yeah, but the humidity wasn't as bad yesterday. So I've been reading these stories, of course, on the radio. Oh, we broke a record. We broke this record Tuesday, and we broke this record Wednesday from 1940 and 1939 and 1938 and 1937. And I was like, all right. And I just kind of pointed this out on the air. I was like, we haven't been keeping records for that long as humans of weather. So do you think maybe there's probably a cycle because, why are we questioning things that God has done? So do you think that maybe there's a cycle, and now that we're actually keeping records in 80 fucking years in this area, they're going to be like, it's going to be a scorcher. It hadn't been this hot since 2022 and 1948. And oh, wait a minute, there's an 80-year cycle we seem to be going through. That's odd. So do I believe in climate change? I believe in climate change, but I'm like you. How do I know that the climate isn't on a 10,000 year changing cycle, and we're in the middle of the son of a bitch right now? Do you know we're alive for this long? This long? Do
you know, for instance, I might get my numbers wrong. Do you know the sun has a North Pole and a South Pole?
Mm-hmm.
Like just like the Earth has a North Pole and South Pole, because it spins, and because it spins, it's got a magnetic kind of element to it. It has a North Pole and a South Pole. Do you know that every 13 years that pole just flips?
Yeah, it flips.
Just flips. Mm-hmm. And this is a long cycle, and then it doesn't stay flipped for very long. It goes 13 years, north and south flip, and then very shortly thereafter flips again, and things like that happen. Now, is the climate change? First of all, there's no such thing as not climate change. Climate changes all the time. We have a dynamic ecosystem. are humans? So the real question is, are humans causing
responsible
more damage to the environment than they would otherwise? I mean, we are definitely, there's human activity.
Maybe.
We cause chemical changes or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we're
we do
down
things because like we're trying to make
forest.
humans live places.
Yeah, we're polluting. We're cutting down forests. I will. Yeah,
Should
we are.
Should humans be as responsible as possible about the trash they clean up, they create, and the pollutants they make, and try to minimize pollution because it can be toxic? Yes, all of us on the right agree. Like, yes, we should be good stewards of the planet as much as possible. We should. Now, should the needle there?
We don't. I don't want to interrupt your thought, but I'll on that same thing. Like us on the right, do we want straws? Do you want straws? Fuck yes, I want a straw. But I care if you want to make it out of something else that's going to be that's not going to fall apart on me? First of all, I don't want a fucking paper straw unless the paper is going to stay. This is biodegradable. We're all cool with that, but don't just come and be like, I'm not serving you straws because gophers or whatever. Screw you. I want my damn straw. And that's why you get people that buck against the system that bring their own straws and do shit like that. It's because the way that you act. If you're like, hey, man, straws are killing turtles, man. And so we're going to do this so that when they get wet for a long period of time, they do this. And we're like, can I drink my Coke for an hour with it? Okay, I'm cool.
Yeah.
So that's
you want to have a paper straw? That's fine. Can you tell me if it costs more or less energy to manufacture and recover and remanufacture a plastic straw versus a paper straw?
Right. What's the cost? Can't tell you the cost in association with that.
Yeah, I can tell you plastics can last for like hundreds of years and they break down real slow. And maybe there's microparticles in past plastics that are bad for humans. But I can't tell you that it's cheap. I'm going to bet you that it's cheaper and easier to manufacture plastic straws and to recover them and recycle them and to make them again than it is to make paper straws.
But then you get into
they break down, but you can't reuse them.
Yeah, you get into the whole argument.
I don't know.
It is probably cheaper to do that with plastic than to make like paper straws. But
and I don't mean cheaper in terms of money. I mean cheaper in terms of energy. The energy it takes to mine this stuff, make this stuff, recover the stuff, repurpose it.
But you
can't recycle paper. You can recycle paper, but not paper straws.
Is the energy and whatever that's saved, the resources that are saved, does that outweigh the fact that a large percentage of the plastic straws are not going to get recycled and are going to go back into the environment anyway? Because you can't make everyone do it. You just can't. That's true.
You can't. I mean, we have recycling here. Maybe people don't have it everywhere. I mean, I get that. I'm all for recycling. Let's recycle.
Yeah, I am too.
If you can.
Do you though? Truthfully, do you?
Yeah, we got recycling.
A little bit. In your house?
I don't on it now. Once it goes to my curb, I have no idea. How well it's recycled. Because there's like plastic in there, there's metal in there, there's glass in there. Who knows what? Who's sorting that? I don't know. That's somebody else's job. But like, there's a recycling. So I'm like, oh, recycle. You want us to recycle? Recycling, fine.
Yeah,
there's recycling.
Yeah, my family doesn't do a good job on it. We don't do a good job on it.
Well.
The recycling.
I mean, anyway, all I know is this: people absolutely believe in climate change, but they seize on it for the purpose of forcing other people to do certain things. Like you have to, I see it more as a lever to be exploited to power, to either make people feel bad and therefore
absolutely
power in a certain way.
Yeah,
or as a justification.
Yeah.
But I don't know that it's rational. And also, I don't think that we have if we wanted to, human beings wouldn't have the ability to manipulate the weather and the climate on purpose. So, I find the whole thing to be, I feel like there's probably truths in it. I mean, I don't know. I think there's truths, plural, little truths in it, But the greater story is all about power, and it's about seizing control and making certain people live in a small way so that the people at the top pulling the levers can live a big way. And you see that as like people going around and like, oh, carpool, minimize your footprint. Meanwhile, the Kardashians are flying around in their jets to go get groceries or something. So, I mean, bunch of malarkey, not a bunch of malarkey, but like,
I don't listen.
You're being lied to all the time.
I don't listen to anything what we call a celebrity says. That
right, you don't, but like a lot of people around you do.
That's just sad. It's really sad that people are influenced so easily. Because I'll tell you straight up, don't listen to what my dumbass thinks. I'm a dumbass.
So, among the other great news that we had yesterday, Deacon, the government has a plan to reduce inflation. I know inflation's probably been really getting to you. Cost of groceries are going up. Cost of gas is going up. Cost of those plastic and paper straws is going to go up. So the government's got a plan.
It's never going back.
I say the government, but I mean actually the Fed.
I'm going to walk up here and say something because the kids are pissed off and the kids are crying and squalling. So I'm going to get up here and I'm going to say some fluffy shit and tell them that we'll go to Walmart if they straighten up. All right. So you kids are crying and you kids are screaming. So I'm going to get up here, and if y'all will settle down and calm down for about 10 more minutes, we'll go to Walmart and I'll get you an ice cream. Is exactly what this shit is. I'm not dumb. I'm a parent.
All right. Well, news came out.
Don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining.
Oh. News came out yesterday. The Federal Reserve has raised interest rates by 0.75%. Oh, that's a very small number, sir. That's a little tiny number.
Thank you.
The Fed raised it by 75 points.
Oh, you did.
And they signaled that they're probably going to raise it by another 50 points. So it'll be 125 points total. Yeah. Do you know what this is going to do to the economy and how this is going to help us by raising the interest rate from the Fed?
Let me guess what word they use. Boost is somewhere in this article. Boost the economy.
This is a very short article, and this is from Just the News. So the facts are from Reuters, but what will happen is the Fed, who gets to print money however they want, is raising interest rates on the money they lend out, and the money they lend out is then lent out to everybody that does housing, loans, things like that. So by raising the interest rates, the immediate consequence will be that the cost of people borrowing, banks borrowing money from the Fed will go up by 0.75%, which means that immediately loans going out the door at banks to customers will raise their prices, and therefore loans will come down because there will be fewer loans, because fewer people will be like, oh yeah, 0.75, an extra 0.75% of the $500,000 house or whatever. So the immediate consequence of raising the Fed interest rate will be that spending overall decreases. So then the immediate result will be a suppression of the gross domestic product.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna raise national interest rates to reduce the GDP, and that will, cross your fingers, reduce the massive inflation spending that we are seeing in the country, where energy costs are through the roof, food costs are through the roof, housing costs are through the roof. Your salary is not changing at all. Your salary is standing down. So the GDP is going to come down, and that in no way whatsoever is going to result in higher energy costs or food costs or anything like that. Because, fewer people selling houses means fewer people making money, means fewer dollars churning through the economy. But this is the plan. We're gonna turn down inflation by turning down our gross domestic product. Does that sound like a good plan?
It sounds like an excellent plan to me.
Why not? Let's do it. Let's try.
We're never gonna. You're never going to. Nothing's ever going to go back down. Do you think all this crap's going to go back down?
Never, dude. When I was a kid,
gas prices will fluctuate, but they'll. I mean, we're just now.
I paid 85 cents a gallon when I was a kid.
Yeah,
it's now like.
I told my kids that I was like, when I started driving, gas was 86 cents a gallon. And I remember when the little Minute Mart opened up down the street and they had like their grand opening special and gas was like 40 cents a gallon. And we were all lined up to fill up our car. And they couldn't believe, you know, I was telling them that when gas was like $4.63 a gallon, which it's not, if you look at the gas pump and it says, you know, mine today was $2.97. It's not $2.97. It's $2.97 and 9/10 of a cent. So it's really $2.98. They just trick you by saying $2.97 and with the little 9 up in the corner, it's 9/10 of a cent. So you might as well say it's $2.98. That extra penny makes a difference, man. That extra penny
definitely racks up. Mm-hmm. But hey, we're winning by our currency being worth less and less now. We're winning that fight because now their fractional take on us is just so much smaller.
That's right. And that's what some people don't understand is what a penny increase in gas 25 years ago, 30 years ago is the equivalence of 10-cent increase today. You know, with where the dollar is in the world. But some people don't understand economics because you smoked pot during that class and you fell asleep during that class, or your economics teacher in high school sucked and didn't know economics themselves. So they didn't teach you economics. That's why people don't know history, because you had a shitty history teacher and it made it not fun for you. That's why people are walking around dumb, don't know who's buried in Grant's tomb.
So over the next 2 meetings, we've already seen a 75-point raise, and we'll see probably another 50-point raise maybe in 2024. So that is an increase in our interest rates from the Fed. The Fed also sees much less economic growth this year. At a July meeting, the Fed officials thought, now this is not last year, this is 2 months ago. 2 months ago, the Fed officials thought that the GDP would grow 1.7% this year. Now they expect, just 0.2% growth, 0.2% growth this year. The next year's growth is seen as just 1.2%, down from 1.7. And now this is we're approaching like stagnant economy. So our rate of increase is now flattened out. And there's no way whatsoever that rate of increase is going to dip down. But if it does for 2 quarters in a session, unless economists, change the rules for how they measure a recession, which traditionally is 2 fiscal quarters of negative growth, which we've seen. But if you change the rules, if you change the way you define recession, then you can sidestep out of calling it a recession. There's no way that this is an indicator of we're in a recession, folks. It's not good. Anyway, but the Fed's combating it by making our GDP less. It's good stuff. All right. Let's see. Russia's threatening to nuke everybody. Oh, hey, this is cool. Did you see that? He's still in the air. Did you guys see that, Putin yesterday was like, oh, we're going to mobilize like 300,000 Russians and we'll, if America gets involved in this, we're going to use nuclear bombs and stuff like that. Did you see any of that stuff yesterday?
So say your last sentence. I just turned this
Russia. Putin said yesterday, this is not a bluff. We're going to partially mobilize. We're going to bring in our veterans out of retirement. We're going to have 300,000 more troops, and we're willing to use nuclear weapons if the United States gets involved.
He said
maybe it is.
He said this is not a bluff. If somebody states that this is not, I'm not joke.
This is not a joke. Listen, Jack, not a joke.
I mean, when somebody's like, this is not a bluff, that's bullshit. Right. You're bluffing. So he doesn't have the truth. All of his generals are dying mysteriously and shit from all over the place. All of his friends are dying all over the place.
Oil guys are jumping out of buildings.
weird stuff is happening to the people that know Putin, and he's
of all
freaking out. But Putin's mental. We know who Putin is as a man, don't you? How he's displayed to us. He's a. I'm an alpha male. You know the guys that walk around and tell you that they're alpha male. I'm an alpha male, and you're all betas. Those that's what type of guy he is. So he's not going to. I'll just enlist all these 70-year-old Russians. Sure you will. Sure you will.
So this is what I know about the Ukrainian war right now. Nobody at all is telling the truth about anything. And I don't mean like they're conspiring. I mean, the Western media is covering stories in such a way as to manipulate English-speaking Russians, to manipulate the West to try to combat. So propaganda. The Ukraine is absolutely engaged in propaganda. They got to keep their morale up. Russia is absolutely engaged in propaganda. They got to keep their own morale up so that they can keep fighting this thing. Nobody's being honest about anything. So you can trust that no matter what you read, some of it is either being framed or just straight fake news. So out the gate, nothing you hear about Russia or Ukraine is true. It could have truth in it, but it's definitely propaganda everywhere. That's just assume everything is propaganda. The second thing that I know, and so, Putin said willing to use nuclear weapons, mobilize the troops, we're going to win this thing, whatever. The second thing I know for sure is that yesterday, right after President Putin said he would deploy citizens to Ukraine to fight his war, be willing to pull up 300,000 reservists, be willing to use nuclear weapons. 2 hours after his speech, Google searches for, quote, how to break an arm at home soared in Russia. I'm sorry, comrade. My arm is broken. I cannot join the war in the Ukraine.
That's
Russians trying to avoid war call-up search how to break arm at home.
I fell down steps.
Oh, it's a terrible thing. I tripped. You would never believe it. I was walking on the path and I slip. I fall on a rock, break my arm.
Break arm. Yes, Yuri next door did same thing. Amazing. I saw him fall down, break arm. We all break arm on block. Whole block, break arm.
Google data showed a spike in searches for Avial Sales, the country's most popular flight booking website, as Russians made a run on plane tickets to get out of the country. So plane tickets to get out of right after this flight, plane tickets, one-way tickets out of Russia went from like a normal fee to like $5,000 to get to Abu Dhabi and like $9,000 to get to Kyrgyzstan or something like that. Just get out of Russia. So direct flights and routes with stopovers from Moscow and Turkey and Armenia, where Russians can enter without a visa, were sold out through Sunday on this Avasales. That's like their I don't know, hotels.com or whatever. That's their flight travel thing. The most inexpensive flight to Dubai went to $5,000. $5,000 for a one-way ticket, dude. That's some serious get out of country money.
They're wanting to get
anyway,
for some reason.
So I don't know what else is true, but I know that Russians ain't interested in fighting this war. Normal citizens. And by the way, I don't know if we'll ever talk to a Russian person on the show, but hey, dude, I got no problem with Russians.
I don't either.
Putin is telling you like the West wants to destroy Russia. Dude, the West doesn't give a half a shit about Russia, dude. You guys do your thing, stay in your place. Stay over there. We want to, you know what we want to do? We want to watch Game of Thrones or, whatever on TV. Like, we're not interested in being in a war. Now, your government has got a problem with Ukraine. Ukraine has a problem with you. The United States has a problem with the government has a problem with all these people. But American citizens, not interested in Russia, not interested in taking over your country. So don't believe the BS coming from your presidential office. Good morning, Showstopper.
Who's that guy?
That's Hellboy.
Who's that one?
That's Jane.
Jane.
One day I will teach you the song of Jane.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe Deacon can sing it. Deacon, can you sing the Jane song?
There once was a man named, I don't remember it.
Yeah, it's so good. It's
like
the
that.
best.
It was the savior of, what was the town called? The savior of
I don't know, Janestown. Is it not Janestown?
yeah, Janestown, that's right.
Yeah. Man, that's good. That would definitely get us a
get the lyrics
oh,
right
Tim
here.
Pool, give me the one.
The hero of Canton. Yeah, it was the hero of Canton. Jane, the man they called Jane. He robbed from the rich and he gave to the poor. Stood up to the man and he gave them what for. Our love for him now ain't hard to explain. The hero of Canton, the man they called Jane.
Hi, Mr. Duck.
It's not Mr. Duck, it's Deacon. Oh, he's doing a Deacon Duck voice.
I do the duck voice.
Hi, Duck. Hello.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So Jeremy says the Pentagon admitted to running a huge pro-Ukraine propaganda campaign, and of course they are. And
I need some headphones.
You can, yeah, you sure do, but not today. You can definitely spot the propaganda marks because they're rolling around with Ukraine flags and whatever in their social media stuff. People gobble it up. Gobble it up.
There's a there's a house down the street that's got a Ukraine flag in the yard.
Yeah, they gobble it up. The Ghost of Kiev, that was amazing propaganda. That was like, yeah, dude, tell your people you guys have a ghost space fighter that's out there blowing stuff up in Kiev. That was so amazing and exciting. Fake.
Man, well,
whatever.
What he's talking about, and wasn't that a Battlefield gameplay? One of my buddies, actually, when that was going around, one of my buddies we were joking about it, and he had this like, have you seen this? And what it was that classic Battlefield, where they would fly the jet, they would parachute, they would eject out of the jet, use an RPG, and shoot the opposing jet down with the RPG, and then parachute back into the falling jet and get into that jet and fly off. And I think that's what the little meme was. This is a real guy. Look at what he's doing. It was funny. We're all old Battlefield players. I've played that game since.
I've seen that shot before. We jump out of the jet and shoot the rocket, and then jump back into it.
That became such a huge. One person did it in like Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4, and one person did it, I think it was 3, and I think 5 or 6 or one of them, they actually put it in one of the cutscenes where they animated somebody doing that and jumping back in, because it became one of those, oh my God, I want to do that.
So Jeremy says that he's sure that Google data isn't manipulated. This is sarcasm to push agendas either. If you're saying, is this propaganda to convince Russians, English-speaking Russians, that other Russians are not interested in being in the war and they're willing to break their arms? Yeah, probably. Yeah, this is also probably propaganda. But it's hilarious, and it at least has the possibility of being true. It's maybe, because I would definitely expect to see this. So anyway. Okay. That's almost the last thing. I mean, I had some other stuff. Let's see. Joe Biden. You remember Joe Biden, a Soul of America speech? Beazel Biden gave a speech talking about how MAGA is a threat to democracy and all of that. Do you remember me talk? I know you didn't watch the speech yourself, but do you remember me talking about it? Yeah. Biden said, let's see. Threat to, he said that they, MAGA, Make America Great Again, right-leaning Republicans, national populists, they promote authoritarian leaders and they fan flames of political violence that are a threat to our personal rights, to the pursuit of justice, the rule of law, the very soul of the country, ... But while the threat to American democracy is real, I want to say this as clearly as we can. We are not powerless in the face of these threats. We are not bystanders in the ongoing attack on democracy. So Joe Biden gave this big speech about, your country is at threat to, Republicans, to MAGA. Oh my Lord. Wow. Surprise, surprise, surprise. A North Dakota dude ran over a boy in a car and then called the police. And then when asked why he did it, confessed that he did it and said it was because the boy, Kaylor Ellingston, was a Republican extremist. His defense of murdering an 18-year-old kid is that the kid was a Republican extremist. So
what would have happened if you change one thing?
Mm-hmm.
Change him to a Republican and change the boy to a Democrat. What would happen? What would be what in what alternate universe? What is going on in that alternate universe right now? That is the only difference. Everything else in this world is the same, except that man was a MAGA Republican and the boy was a Democrat. What is going on there? Do you think they're going, or do you think maybe there's some rioting, or do you think that there's some shit going on?
You change the reporting on this to call one of them a person of color, and you immediately are going to get like riots and protests. I mean, we are told by the administration that right wing is a threat to the nation, domestic violence, whatever. Well, if that's true, then why aren't the Republicans marching in the streets and burning buildings down? Oh, because Republicans don't march in the streets and burn buildings down. But a crazy Democrat who gets goaded by the president of the United States will run over a boy in a car. But don't worry, he confessed and he's in jail, right? Well, he was in jail for like a day, but instead he's now North Dakota man free after admitting he mowed down Republican teen over politics. Records show Shannon Brandt, piece of shit, posted $50,000 bail after fatally striking Kaylor Ellingston with his vehicle following political argument. The family of Kaylor Ellingston should sue this dude. I mean, first of all, criminal charges for sure, but they should sue Shannon Brandt, and then they should sue every piece of media that ran the President's Soul of the Nation speech, and they should sue the President of the United States, because this dude was basically told by the president, hey, we have to defend democracy. So, wink, wink, go kill Republicans. This is reality right now.
This is crazy. It's craziness.
It's absolutely nuts. The mother was called by Kaylor while he was fleeing from this psychopath and was said, I need help. They're trying to get me. And by the time the mother gets to her son, he's dead. He's run over in a car. Awful.
Yuck. All right.
Yes, you can. And you can also, you did a good job putting this on. Let me tie it for you, okay? All right, man. That's pretty much it. I only had one more thing. A 9-year-old was attacked by a bear, and an adult or a parent that was there, I guess they were out hunting or whatever, killed that bear.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, we can talk about it tomorrow.
We'll talk about it tomorrow. Yeah.
All right. Rough end of the show. Hey, goodbye, everybody. Hey,
it's all right.
Terrible news. It's still a good day. This is still probably the best day ever, and tomorrow's going to be even better than this. Be here 6:30 in the morning. We'll see you. YouTube.com/JJW8071. Just rolls right off the tongue. So good. Smooth.